Alright, so I thought I'd do a bit of an update on how I'm running my Blight strategy these days, as it's changed quite a lot. If you came over from my little YouTube short, I thank you very, very much. I'll keep it short and sweet, and I'll have timestamps below, so if I bore you too much, you can just click wherever you want to go. Alright, well, this is what my current Atlas tree looks like. As you can see, I've dropped quite a few nodes, but I've also picked up a few. I dropped the Blight spawn node. It just became too difficult for my build as I'm playing Righteous Fire. I don't have enough damage. Plus, only getting the one chest, it's kind of pointless, you know? I also dropped Epidemiology, as again, it's pointless when running the Blightheart Scarab. I've now picked up Templar's Ingenuity, and I also started blocking some mechanics that have cheaper Scarabs. With this strategy, we basically just want to drop the expensive Scarabs and corrupted 8 mod maps, along with any pure currency of course. I like to run singular focus as it only drops the maps that I favourite. However, you can choose to forego this if you like running different maps, like it's up to you. You drop so many maps with this strategy, which have my map runners working overtime. And of course, if you do choose to go with singular focus, you can favourite any maps you want. I like to run Beach, and then I also favourite Basilica, Ghetto and Defiled Cathedral, which I just hand to my map runners. I did have Toxic Sewers favorited, which is great for my build. However, you can't really run Blight in it because it's so scuffed. So I might even end up changing my favorite maps. I guess we'll see. Alright, that moves us on to Scarabs. Shout out to Milky BK on this one. I watched his latest video on Blight and he recommended using the Blight Scarab of Blooming. I noticed significantly more drops at the end of the Blight mechanic after I added this Scarab. And obviously we want the Blightheart Scarab for one massive reward chest, but mainly we want it for the more waves of monsters. Then we have Bloodlines for the increased magic monsters. And Blight Scarab of Invigoration makes it way more difficult but way more rewarding if you put empowering towers on. I try to make around 80 to 90% of my towers as empowered. And finally we have the Scarab of Corruption. You don't need this one, you can swap it out for something else if you're not going for the 8 mod corrupted maps. Now, be warned, some of these Scarabs get quite expensive, especially Bloodlines and Invigoration. Usually both of those Scarabs go for around 80c each. So yeah, it can get pretty expensive to run Blight, but it pays off in the long run. Now, onto maps. If you can run them, I suggest running it on 16.5s. You'll see significantly more loot if they're rolled correctly. But tier 16 also works perfectly fine. That's what I'm running as I've got an abundance of them and I'm trying to restockpile my 16.5s. And any of these maps that I can't run personally, I just hand to my map runners, or you could just sell them. Now, if you're struggling to defeat Blight, there's a little trick you can do with the physical and the cold tower. If you tear those up to level 3 and don't go above that, they can permanently stun the mobs. Make sure the towers are right next to each other. Also, it helps if there's a third tower right next to them and you can make that an empowering tower and weaken the mobs. When you get close to the end of the Blight, make sure you level them up to tier 4 and that way you get the better rewards. Well, thanks for watching. If you found this guide helpful, consider dropping a like or a comment or even subscribe. It helps a lot more than you think. Thank you. See you next time.